Going to be cobblestone, and unfortunately this is probably going to be one where complexity tends to fall a little bit more flat overall here, and in my opinion at least, Immortals to take a quick charge of it.
Yeah, I think Immortals is a lot better on cobble. I'm surprised complexity let that go through. I mean, I think Slimmy's a fan of this map. I think he likes playing it. But having said that, I mean, Immortals is going to be pretty well drilled if they need to be, but they're going to be able to play loose. And I think on this T side, we might see like a lot of confusion on this complexity side that could really hurt them.
Yeah, now we are going to see Def just trying to peek his way out here to try and see if he can catch them early, because he did spot a lot of players possibly pushing in that route, but this could all be a ruse. They won't be able to rotate off of that just yet until they actually see them moving into the site. Moving in, Luke is just kind of systematically clearing things out to start it off, but now they've been revealed, so rotates are going to be moving in quickly. Immortals, the clock is ticking against them, and they're not making a whole lot of progress here. Def holding in the open beautifully, finally goes down after he picks up 2 kills, but at the end of the day, it's still left evenly traded out, and Immortals scavenging themselves some CT pistols now as FNX is going to pick that one up. Bolt's also going in through drop, but both of them are taken down in the respective 1v1s, and it's complexity that once more control the pistol to start off the map.
Yeah, that really struggling there, and then hits 2 shots that he needed to hit for them to win that round. Like, if he doesn't hit those 2 shots at the end there, that is such an easy round for Immortals. Bolt's just barreling down on the flank. I'm not sure why he made so much noise. Maybe they knew he was already there or something, but I thought if he would have been silent, he might have been able to shoot one in the back.
Yeah, no plant for the Immortals. They just go right into the aggressive buy in the second round here. Smoke's getting in the way of the platform push, but they don't seem to mind. It's still Lucas just going right out, hitting a nice headshot as well. Goodbye, Desi. Possibly some more to come after that as well. They did have to wait for the Molotov to fade, which give the CTs a little bit more room to move back in. Molotov into the back of the platform, but I think a little bit too far back. Thankfully, they're still able to clean this up. They did have to kind of stack themselves up behind the pizza box pretty closely, and that allows for FNX and Bolts now pick up a few kills, and Bolts almost got another one as well. Dinked Android down to 5 HP, so he has to fall back, hopefully relying a little bit more on Slemmy to rack up some of these kills, but FNX is holding consistently at the rock. Good nade bounce, knocks off half of his own HP, but they've got to be careful of a window flank too. It looks like Steel's going to try to move in for that one. FNX lining up 1 kill, but Steel has such a good position now to just eliminate Android and make this upset a reality. We'll have to see. Android's definitely going to be checking for it as he does swing out from the corner here, but Steel's spotting it, gets the tap to close out and immediately send this match into chaos once more, just like Cash, as we go 1-1 at the start.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and if you're Complexity and you want to beat a team like Immortals, who you are not favored to beat, you know, let's be real, Immortals is the better team. You make it almost impossible on yourself when you have lost so far this series 4 swing rounds. 4. And not just swing rounds, rounds that you should be winning.
Yeah. Well, now we do have Immortals pushing their way up over here towards B. Once again, trying to move in quickly. Smokes this time instead of Molotovs will get in their way, and that Molotov was deployed a little bit late from coL last time, so it didn't really stop them too much anyway. In fact, that allowed for them to actually go back out and hit that first headshot really quickly. But now, well, we've already got drop control under the control of Immortals here. They're holding a lot of close angles, though, and while Android does hit his first shot, it doesn't go so well for Steel. Desi, though, from behind the statue, hits a nice headshot on Lucas. Short-lived, however, but Slemmy right back into it. He's also got the deagle to work with. 2v3, advantage to Complexity. They've got Henny in the open, but nobody really wanting to take a risk and peek out against him, so they're giving Henny a lot of room to swing out and really just kind of isolate the remaining members of Complexity, as they're still working with, for the most part, just pistols. Slemmy is the one exception, as he does have a UMP in hand, but that is also going to be knocked out now by Henny, who ends up with a 4K on the round and secures the early advantage for the Immortals.
They played that 2v3 really well. Henny spotted the guy in door. They had the molly down. Bolts was, I believe that was Bolts, was watching E-box, which meant, hey, Henny could just swing to his left and kill that guy around pizza, and then swing towards the door and E-box. Very advantageous situations for both the T players, you know, just mainly because they have AKs. Now we see a full eco coming towards Complexity's way. They have 5 players towards B. They smoke upper B, so they're probably going to get aggro here.
Yeah, moving into it here too. Once again, Steel just doesn't care about the Molotovs at all, just swings past it. The problem is he's going to go right into the deagle from Android. Thankfully, FNX, 2 quick trades to the MAC-10 due to the fast drop control that he got, and he's going to be moving in now to try and secure most of this, and FNX secures one more there as well. Only losing Steel there. After that, pretty clean sweep for the Ts.
Yeah, 3 SMGs now on Immortals. We'll see if they, you know, want to drop any of those and upgrade, but it looks like they'll keep 2 UMPs. I've thought about this. Like, it might be good on the T side to have a dedicated umper. That's how good.
Dedicated upper?
Yes.
Why would you do that?
Because that forces the CTs to have to buy head armor.
That's true, actually.
Right?
Yeah, no. That's a good point. Just have the guy that's going to be that threat for it.
Yeah.
And then CTs are forced to make a choice. Do we risk him just like coming in and wrecking us at close range, or do we want the security? But after a little bit of combat there, it is left into the favor of complexity at the start of this round. They buy head armor into it anyways. You can see on it pretty much everybody except for Death. I'm not sure if Slummy had picked it up or not, but
that was smart by them because they did have 3 SMGs.
Well, unfortunately, Desi doesn't really catch the note on them pushing out past the smoke. Now Death's going to be caught in the corner, getting one. Trading got to a knife afterwards, though. I think it was out of ammo anyway. So Bolts trades him. And now Android, just gets wrecked by Bolts swinging out into the open. But nobody's paying attention to Surreal by the rock spot, so he picks up an additional trade on the Bolts, down to 3 HP, but he can very well still win this from that angle. Steel, he gets good damage onto him on the opener, but peaks a little bit too wide there at the end, and that gives Steel the opening to close out.
Yeah, that's as soon as you're pizza and they wrap around the statue, it's so easy for them to kill you. Seeing this 3v3 though, they just brute force 4v3 actually. They just brute force out B. Death and Desi play it very poorly, get onto the site very easily, and that was a round that they had 2 SMGs with as well and just 3 AKs, so they were pretty light on the buy, didn't invest that much, and now they just take a commanding lead, like economically speaking.
Yeah, and coL is just going to half buy into this one on a lot of their players. Some not even being able to do that. Bolts is actually going to find himself in a rough patch to start. We keep seeing these Wanties from Complexity. It's like 1 or 2 on every single round almost. And once again, we got it this time. Unfortunately, it sounded the alarm, so Henny is going to try to get prepped for this push, but he still ends up getting overwhelmed. Thankfully, FNX comes into bail out at the last moment here, and it's really going to do that job. He would have been a dead man if not for FNX positioning. Now it is just left to Def, who retrieved that AK, and is going to have to hope he can make some magic happen, but no, will not be the case. FNX just closes out on the round. And again, Immortals win out while only losing, at most 1 player here, so their economy continues to flourish.
Yeah, pause coming out, maybe by Complexity, I would assume.
Yeah, probably. Bit early for attack, but it might actually be attack.
Just a dedicated umper, man. I'm telling you, it's the new meta. It's the new... What does Vendetta think about that? He says he likes it. 2 thumbs up.
That's actually not a bad idea at all for T-Slam.
I mean, how annoying would that be? Like, you get fully bought up, you got a molly, like you're Android right now, and they just have an umper, and then he just shoots you in the head, and you just die. Flying across your screen.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I guess I just have to buy head armor every round now? Mm-hmm. That would suck.
Yep.
Now, obviously, you wouldn't keep the dedicated umper if the CT's economy is, like, full, right? If their economy is full, then you don't do it, of course, because they could just buy head armor really easily, right? But, like, on rounds like this, you just have an umper.
Yep. And not only that too, but if he gets if he keeps getting like multi-kills or something like that on a map like this,
yeah, you just get insane
he gets crazy money. And if someone like overbuys something like that and they drop, he's like the guy to constantly do that.
Do they know they're down drop? Oh nope. My.
Apparently, that's Slummy with a nice trade at least. But the problem is now they're completely boxed out of B site. They only have drop. They're just going to easily molly that off. They send like 4 mollies out after they get site control. That's pretty much the round right there. Slummy and Surreal already falling back to save. Immortals just delayed the plant for a second to make sure they didn't try to push back in early. And I don't even think they're going to realize that they saved until a second ago, because this is a situation where they honestly could have tried to go for it, but yeah, not going to happen after that take.
Oh, no. No. They molly drop, and then they wanted to push B, I'm assuming. But yeah, they all just left drop, and then they smoked out the molly, and for some reason, none of them realized that they smoked out the molly. That could have been, that was like a triple lineup. Look at all their corpses.
Yep.
Observers, get on that right now.
They're commanding them.
Disadvantage. There we go. No. What, are you guys
outside,
watching the game?
Sidewalk, and it's too late.
Unbelievable.
I mean, we saw some bodies, just the wrong ones. Yeah, here it is. They're all just...
All 3 of them just sitting there.
Slummy rolls in. They did kind of tunnel vision on other bits that Slummy was able to trade, but of little
Close enough.
was of little consequence since they had free platform and site control at that point. Surreal might get caught in a bad spot. He's sticking with it though. Gets him the first kill. Dipping back in for more as he gets his second. Tries to no-scope the third. That took a long time for Steel to get that kill, but he does indeed get it. And thankfully, he was one of the few players with a big gun to play with. The other three, with the exception of Slemmy, are going to be on pistols here. So now Slemmy's going to come out in a big way. They are walking across each other here to get past the APC.
Oh, they're all lining up again.
But it leaves it as Def, who somehow sneaks through the smoke past the APC, bringing this back down to a 1v1. Or Def is going to just quiet down now. He's got an AK sitting on the ground that he can pick up. Molly's going to be too far in, but pushing in. He's got the angle, but got caught picking up the AK, and Henny's going to be able to re-peek in, shutting it down, and just barely giving the Immortals that round.
Complexity, man. They ride or die together. Look at this.
Someone's walking across someone's head as they came off the thing.
All three just all peeking the same side.
So, yeah, Complexity, some interesting stuff going on for them in these past few rounds. As Immortals do have the advantage now, 7-1 in their favor. And Complexity obviously back onto another gun round here, but now we need to see them kind of get things together. The last gun round didn't go so well. Now they do double up, so hopefully a little bit more firing power coming into their favor. One position on each site. Desi did some nice damage early on the push. He's not going to know this for a few seconds. That nade looked like it was going to be good, but I think Steel dodged it by going into the cubby there. Lucas as well pushes forward, taking down Desi. They know they've got Def stuck inside of the chicken coop somewhere, although he peeks out and gets that kill. And he's got another player lined up for him too. Steel, and even goes back behind it to finish him off through the box. He was pretty low, was able to just barely save himself. And at the moment, I mean, Def's the one player keeping his team in this game. Now that they need to watch out for this close-up push, and FNX already approaching the doorway. They're not going to be able to spot this. Slemmy caught outside without his gun in hand, and that's going to allow for Bolts to be able to just barely recover before they lose any more teammates. It was a 3v3. Now all of a sudden, it's a 3v1. It's Def, the last man alive, spotting a player pushing through the castle. As we can see, Bolts is just going to nade him out and take him down with it. It's a touchdown from Bolts as Immortals get their 8th.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, especially. Bolts just knew he was going to get him with it too.
Yeah,
they knew he was lit.
Dusty's having a... Oh, Slemmy, no! No!
Yeah, he got caught in a really unfortunate spot there.
Yeah. Dusty's having a rough time at B, man.
1-9 currently on the scoreboard. So minimal.
I mean, it's not just being 1-9. Like they're going out platform towards his spot.
Mm-hmm. He's been given more than enough chances to be able to fry.
They're just no respecting.
And Def going down early here. Slemmy's going to look to pick one up too. Actually, well, snaps on that one, it seems like.
Because Slemmy has the best P250 in the game. I'm telling you.
Just destroys Steel. Surreal also got a kill too. Did they move Destiny? I'm curious. No, he's still here on this site. I don't know if he rotated though, if he was playing A at the start, but normally he's the guy up on platform. So now Immortals are going to end up getting pushed back, actually. Keep in mind, this is almost a full eco from Complexity. They have a few players with armor pickups, but that's about it. So no utility after what they did buy has already been used. So Immortals is kind of taking a step back for a minute here. Going to wait and see if Complexity do anything aggressive that they can punish. But Complexity themselves have kind of frozen up since they still have the ultimate advantage. And now moving back in, well, Android's going to be waiting in that cubby. Slemmy, nicely shot as well. Just immediately destroys Bolts. Android yet to be spotted as well, so he's basically got a free kill. One remaining. Lucas will trade, but he's got a lot more work to do and only 30 seconds to do it. As he pushes back out, again, not even really going to feel safe to do that. Smokes out over there towards Draw to make sure he can't be pushed. And maybe he's just going to actually try to run away with this, possibly. We'll see in a second. Only 20 seconds left, and he still has to get the bomb down. And he made noise dropping down from the broken wall, too. So they're going to know he's in here. As he does just pretty much just go full speed at this point, since they already know he's back in the site. Nice flick on a Slemmy, but that's all he's really going to be able to get as they immediately re-peek out with the other two. And Surreal gets that last kill.
And Slemmy just destroying them with that AK off that first kill. That sets up the round. He smartly doesn't peek after that. Just knows that Android's going to get the next one, then puts it into a 1v3, and he just never peeks. And there's nothing Lucas could do. If Slemmy does not peek and he plays it like that, you're not going to win a 1v3. Although, if Lucas did that crazy jump onto the square, yeah, maybe he could have won it. That would have been sick. I thought he was trying. I thought he was going to try to do it.
Well, Immortals kind of being stuck early on here now.
That would have been insane, Blue.
Someone Was it him or someone else tried to do that at a tournament recently?
I don't know.
It was someone from CLG, if I remember correctly. Ricky, yeah, that was it.
And he did it?
Yeah, he did it, but he didn't. I don't think he only killed like 1 or 2 of the players. It was like a 1v3 or 1v4. He didn't actually win it out, but it was still some sick stuff from him. Well, we're into the battle now, and it's already back down to a 3v3. Enough to push coL back behind the smoke wall, but not enough to push them out of the site. So this is going to be rather dangerous for the Immortals, as they need to pay attention to that entire wall. Complexity can easily just push right through that and try to get themselves back in. They'll take a big risk, but if they push it at the right spot, they may go through completely undetected. For now, though, they decide not to do that, holding back in their respective positioning. Slemmy very low, but oh my god! Just gets bolts through the chicken coop as well. That's like a huge spray he's got to go for. Traded back, of course, by the Immortals. Now leaves it all into Surreal in a 1v2 here, and he's just playing right around the rosy with Steel, while also trying to sneak in the kill onto the player on Broken Wall. But in that, Steel is going to be able to successfully peek out from the statue, take him back down, and give Immortals control of the lead. And now I think Complexity are going to go for the full-on tactical pause.
Why was Surreal only using a CZ there? Like, I'm not talking about when he was pushing the guy, but when he was like at Pizza, he just was posted up with the CZ instead of popping him. I don't know why. Because he would have killed the guy's statue. Slemmy had his right. It makes no sense that he would have a CZ out there. If he just has his opt out there, they win that round. Because Steel doesn't get those 2 kills.
Yeah.
Instead, he's just pecking him with a CZ for like 10 damage because he's really only hitting his arm.
Complexity are indeed, as I mentioned before, we did get confirmation on that as they take their tactical pause here now. Money's not going to be great. It does look like, however, that they're forcing to the biggest degree that they can. You can see the money just running out there. Slemmy yet to buy much yet, but even with these buys, you'll see it in a moment, they're really only getting like CZs and P250s and like Deagles and stuff like that, so it's not really the greatest buy in the world. I think they get 1 op and 1 M4. Meanwhile, Immortals still full bought into it, and they do have that one player working with the ump now, sitting on FNX.
Yeah, and I mean, so far, Complexity has only won the pistol round and then the eco round.
Yep.
That that Slemmy played really well. Yeah. That's it.
Well, going into this next one here, Immortals with control.
They did switch Tessie.
They did switch him over to the other side. Okay. Yeah. So FNX also just waltzing right up ramp. There's nobody paying attention to this. And this is like a huge distraction too, because it pulled, I think, at least 1 or 2 players off the B bomb site. So as they are going to try to rotate into that, it leaves them in exposed positions when they try to go back in. Slemmy and Android picking up those 2 kills, but the bomb itself still very much out on B. I think just punishing a tad of over-aggression. And Henny might actually be smart to wait this one out, as there are going to be a few players trying to jump into window. The flashbang completely misses, but so does Henny's shot. Now the bolts beautifully lined up, as he's going to get both of those kills traded out by Slemmy. And he gets an M4 off of that play, but this is going to be some heroics from him. It just won't happen, though. As soon as they see that smoke, Lucas sprays into it, gets the easy kill. And Immortals will go up to 10. And Complexity really going to have no choice here. But
this was the prediction Trace had, right?
I think so.
Sun ahead. I think he said first map close, second map a stomp.
Mm-hmm.
And this sure is a stomp so far.
Yeah. Pretty quick one at that, too.
It's like the Immortals from last season where they just played coBOL all
killed
the time
everyone
and just like destroyed everyone. Every game was like 25 minutes.
So now Complexity, well, they've got a big stack of players waiting around the sidewalk, and there's just boost-up box here on the site. The problem is they're all detached. Communication doesn't really seem to be that well organized either, so they're all just getting picked off one by one. Lucas getting the most of these kills. As well, Def sneaks in the headshot of Lucas and actually does finish the job. Steel just a little bit too slow on that push over there, but still 4v1 now. Loss of Lucas is going to be, won't matter too much. And Steel indeed does get that final kill to push Immortals forward even more. 11-2 heading into these last 2 rounds of this, assuming Complexity loses it, may end up being their last big investment in the half. Not even going to see an op from them either, let alone good utility stacks. For the most part, either having to forego flashbangs in the favor of HE grenades, or the reverse of that to bring in a few flashbangs to the CT side. Complexity are going to be looking rather limited beyond those smokes. And in the meantime, Immortals have even upgraded themselves to a double op setup T side now, with FNX and Henny wielding them. As we can see, Bolt's already pushing his way up to the broken wall. It's not just him either. It's 3 of the others working with him to push out quickly towards B. And Complexity stacking towards A this time, expecting the play to come from there. Desi does actually get a kill as he's back onto A now, or excuse me, back over towards B now, picking up 1 kill, but then immediately going back down. The nade a little bit too far placed, and Bolt's having a lot of trouble singing that headshot against Slemmy, but he's out of ammo now and having to lurk around it. Henny finally finds him. Android with the trade and also the finishing bullets on the Bolts there brings us back down to a 2v2. You can see FNX trying to move back in to take down Android from behind the door there, but it's unsuccessful. And now, here's the real issue, is that Def is working his way on a monstrous flank right now. If nobody pays attention to that, he could single-handedly end this round in the favor of Complexity. Steel, though, having a good lineup here. Android's not checking towards window at all. He does need him to push forward a little bit more, and I don't think Steel wants to test it, but they are watching for that flank. Steel paying attention to this, but Def does catch FNX while he's throwing a Molotov back over on top. So now Steel has to go back into the site. Nicely found, getting the headshot into Android and following it through with the last one as well. Steel makes a move, and it gives Immortals yet another round as they push forward on a 12.
Yeah, Android over peeking right there. He tried to quick peek him. Well, I don't know. I don't think it was too much of an over peek, actually. He just kind of missed, to be honest.
Yep.
Like, he had the advantage. He crouch peeked it right onto him. FNX pulls out the P90. I mean, Immortals is just... I mean, that was just a brute force round, man. They just walk out B with 3 people. They just have, like, no fear right now. They're, you know, not really playing, like, super strategic necessarily. Not doing any, like, set strats. Just a lot of just... I'm just going to walk out.
Well, Android, as the strats seem a little bit more well-formed on the Complexity end of things this time, they do get the counter boost up on top of the drop room to be able to take down FNX, and a lot more utility coming into the fold here to at the very least try and hold off towards the platform pressure, which is, you know, one of the few places Immortals have actually pushed for. They haven't even really been, you know, too diverse in the areas of the map they've been trying to go for control of throughout the course of this half. Def, though, it's just swinging back as he moves away from his own aggressive positioning to instead favor towards drop, which we've yet to see how effective this is going to be. At the moment, no one else from Immortals is actually trying to push towards drop. They are all trying to go out towards broken, and they're successful in catching their first kill, but Android lined up for a multi-frag right after that one. Henny with a beautiful peek. Still an advantage for a Complexity, and so right now, where Henny also is going to hit this nice shot on the Surreal. Both the remaining coL players are lit, but Henny misses on that opportunity there. Now it's just Bolts, sees the player behind him, kind of losing himself at this point, and Surreal indeed popping back up, gets that headshot on Bolts to end it. So Complexity, a little bit more light from them as they pick up a 3rd round, but overall, not enough. And this is going to leave Immortals with a massive lead coming out of the first half. Stick with us, guys, to see if they follow it through to take a 2-0 victory, or if Complexity is going to battle back in the second half.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, Legion Lenovo, Mountain Dew League, and ESEA.
Well, for the last time this evening, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It's Immortals versus Complexity, and things have gone, well, at least as Stunna expected them. It's 12-3 right now in the favor of Immortals, and they pretty much stomped their way through the first half there. Immortals getting a little bit loose at the end. They dropped one more round, but overall, not much gain throughout the course of the half by Complexity, and this leaves them with a pretty drastic scoreline if they do drop the pistol.
I mean, the 2v2, even Immortals should have won that round, and he just kind of missed with that CZ. All he needed to do was connect on one bullet, and he shot like 12 on a guy crouching. So Complexity kind of lucked out in winning that round, really. Just absolute dominance. I mean, the only rounds Complexity won were the pistol, and then the eco round that they won, where they just kind of ran out B and Slummy just did work and kind of set his team up really well. And then that last round in that 2v2 where Henny kind of just missed, which almost never happens.
So into the pistol we'll go with now Immortals jumping onto the CT side. Complexity trying to throw a little bit of early pressure over here towards the platform, but only in the hopes of getting the guy on steps out. There's not even a guy on steps for the Immortals right now. They've actually got like a lot of guys just on the in-between point between the sites.
This is like almost like an A stack.
Yeah.
Because like in this connector area, they could rotate to A so fast.
And they're going to be starting to deploy their players in towards B a little bit more. Bolts, I think he can see the heads, but he doesn't have a good enough angle to actually take a shot at them. You can see him just popping one off, but nothing really connecting. Flashbang goes in, but it blinds most of the T's. Android, though, leaping back out. Not only does it kill Bolts, but I think he dinks F and X as well. It's messy in the way that it trades itself out, but it is left into the favor of Complexity. Where are they going to head towards, though? It seems like they make the right choice to go down towards B, as Lucas is left alive over here on A. Even just smoking it back off from behind them here now as they do try to push their way back in. Lucas doesn't seem to care, but Surreal is waiting for him. So Complexity closes the pistol, and now they've got their chance to get back into the game. But it is a very lengthy road to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that was very surprising to me that Immortals lost that round. I mean, they had 3 people watching that drop-down area. 4, actually, because the middle player came to help as well. And these 3 guys still kill everybody and only lose 1 player, right? They got 4 kills there and only lost 1 player, I believe, while jumping through a little doorway, right?
Yeah.
In the air. So you never expect that to happen.
Early tag going over onto Desi, I think, from the side of Henny, and Steel kind of caught just a little bit too far away. Bolts, though, catching 1 kill, but short-lived. He's not able to escape in time from beyond the doorway there.
Look at Complexity's players' health. 12, 12, and 11.
I think almost all of them getting tagged by the scout, too, from Henny, as he's not going to be in the fight.
And they're still committing.
Just going right for them as they pop off the smoke. I think that's going to end up landing over at Heaven there. The nade going back, you know, no real damage done to anyone on Immortals. And like that nade would have had massive impact anyway. But even so, it pretty much misses. And now Henny's going to be able to finish off on the players he tagged before. Lucas trading out after Henny eliminates Surreal and now trying to move forward. Another tag on a Slimy. Nice swing around, though, to be able to find FNX. Just barely keeping himself in the situation. And now things are a bit more desperate for Henny here as he is slowly going to be just been swarmed by players from Complexity as they win out the round. But it is a close one for Immortals. Almost escaped with the upset for a 3rd time.
Yeah, I'm surprised Immortals lost that round as well. Both CT rounds, I thought Immortals was going to win. I mean, they played it pretty well. 3 players with 12 HP on Complexity, all 3 players on the A site for Immortals.
Yeah, this does take us into the full save round now for those CTs. As everybody except for FNX is pretty much just going to not buy much at all except for the P250 on Henny. Now Def swinging back out. Oh no, he doesn't check. Oh, okay, Android just checked for it. I was expecting a bit of an upset there for a moment, but the second player does look towards it, so it's going to be more than likely a pretty clean sweep. The shotgun's already gotten killed as well, so there you have it. Really fast round, and Complexity to take it without losing anyone else to help build up their economy earlier on here.
Yeah, so Immortals not having the best buy. FAMAS, UMP, 3 M4s, no Molotovs or anything like that. FNX bought that Mag 7, so he's just down to an UMP, head armor, and a smoke. That's it.
Meanwhile, over on the Complexity side, they're still working with all rifles here. Desi's still down on a good Leo, interestingly enough, to buy a little bit more utility. I imagine from that previous round where he might have gone down, but now Immortals back into more of a default stack here for their CT side. The 3-2. But holding the one on A site really close to the doorway to act as a fast rotate. In the event, Complexity sort of follows tradition and sends most of their players in towards B here. Just goes for that default style of play. That is yet to be seen, as Complexity themselves has opened up with the default here, which means they could, in theory, really go either way. They're posting up for a little bit of pressure in the mid-connector. Also, again, fairly standard. Where they're actually going to follow through from will depend on what they find out on the ramp and out on A long here, as they, obviously with a minute left, still have plenty of opportunity to swing it back the other way and just go for a direct deployment. Now here on A, there's actually not a whole lot to defend it, so they are pretty much going to walk up into an open site. Steel, I'm not even sure if he's going to peek this. He probably just hold the corner here, but even doing that, he's rather unsuccessful. Def picks up the kill. Bolts does straight onto 1, but it's short-lived, as he's also going to be taken down by Surreal, who's just going off at this point. Gets himself a second now over there, right up close to the crawl space inside of the shed. Now FNX and Lucas are left as the last two. One trying to sneak his way up through Suicide, but Desi reads that and picks up the kill. And for Lucas here, he's going to end up in a battle in the doorway. Finally, one that is won and followed through on by an Immortals player. Evans finds that third one downstairs, too, picking up the AK to keep the battle rolling. And he's lucky enough to find one that's got 29 bullets left in it. Trying to get Surreal into a battle, but that's not necessarily what he wants. As Surreal is on fire this round, ends up with a 3K himself to push Complexity up to 7.
Yeah, and they countered Immortals setup perfectly. Immortals basically leaned towards B since they had their other A player around drop. And Steel kind of just holding by himself. He really needs to get that kill on depth to kind of make Complexity have to look towards long, look towards, you know, all three of the spots, the rotating spots, and then his teammates can kind of make a play. But as soon as Steel dies there, it's going to be Complexity's round almost each and every time.
Yeah, we've got Complexity again trying to push their pressure early on over here towards Broken Wall. They've kind of sounded the sirens though with those Molotovs, so Henny should be kind of getting prepped for this. Granted, Immortals again onto a light by here. There's not a whole lot of prep that they can do, but at the very least they can try to posture up for a sort of fast push out through the Broken Wall. Complexity will delay it a little bit, but now Immortals is tossing in a few of their own nades. Hopefully hold them back or send them in the other direction. And in the meantime...
Depp is going unnoticed though.
He's all the way up on A right now. FNX taking that close battle, catches 1 kill. But as we can see, Daft just lurking back in. Problem is they also have Steel working against them.
Steel hears them though.
He's going to be able to kind of post up here, but you know, as we mentioned before, Death has not been spotted yet, so he's still going to be a problem for these guys. Here comes Steel, and oh, he only gets 1. He had 2 of them basically lined up for him, but just does not pan out the way he would have liked. It gets too chaotic too quickly, and now only Henny is remaining standing for the Immortals here. And well, he will find 1 on Death, bringing us down to a 1v2, catches him rotating off. Actually winning out here is still going to be... What? Just reads into that somehow, finds Surreal on the other side of the door, and now there's only 1 more to go. So he's going to leap back out, looking for Slemmy. He finds him, but Slemmy ends up winning it out for Complexity as they win the round, just barely though.
That was
How did he get that kill through the door?
I mean, he's clearly on the gear.
Apparently, yeah.
Clearly.
So the first one is found really nicely, but it's this one as well. Just goes for the spray. Can see it if like something glitched out through the door or something like that maybe he spotted, but
no, it's actually kind of a pretty common spot.
So like I said before, ends up reading into it, picks up the kill, and almost clutches out the Immortals, but just falls a little bit short. So now Complexity once again hold the reins here, and they have a real potential to actually get back into this game now. As they've turned what was a 12-3 disadvantage into 8-12. Only 4 rounds behind their opponents. Even if Immortals start winning out from this point, there's still room for Complexity to kind of battle back and at the very least make this map a lot closer with a scoreline such as this. But still waiting for Complexity to kind of make the first move into this round here. They have themselves free drop control. That's always a bit of a red herring though. This does mean that a lot of the defenses are going to be out on the site instead, and Android trying to carefully weigh this out. He does not want to end up peeking into that, however, as there's many players from Immortals just waiting on the outside. 1 boosted up. Lucas able to deploy the smoke when he sees pressure in this direction. They also obviously have bolts waiting at the window. This is going to be rough. Thankfully, Broken Wall is a little bit lightly defended because of this heavy commitment to the drop area here now. And as they smoke out towards drop, Lucas has to quickly vise attention in the other direction, gets himself a second before being traded up by Surreal. And beyond this, it's all hell, but FNX is going to get aggressive, pushing back up, gets 1. Now down to Android here. Bolt's trying to make the difference to win out the round as he brings this down to a 2v1, and Desi falls right afterwards as well. That's Immortals finally picking up a round here in this half as they push on 13.
Yeah, that was pretty ideal hold from Immortals. I mean, Lucas saves his utility until 35 seconds, sees them, deploys the smoke, makes it very difficult on Complexity to utilize drop control to its fullest at that time. What counters what Lucas was doing is if like a T-op goes down drop, you could usually kill him while he jiggle peeks, but that's pretty rare that happens. The rotate happens very quickly from A. Steel and Bolts are there very quickly. That was just a really nice hold by Immortals. You notice nobody had to like do anything crazy. Yeah, Lucas got 2 kills, but everybody else just kind of gets 1 apiece, and you're ending a very manageable 2v1 with low time.
Yep. So now, obviously, Complexity after winning, I think it was 6 rounds straight. They still end up with a decent amount of cash left over, and Steel aggressive. Oh, not going to work out. Android got himself a good position to watch out for that one. So we do see Steel going down first off here. That's full mid-connector control if they want to lead this into an A execute here. At the moment, the bomb still settled up on top, so really reason to bargain towards either way, especially with the elimination of Steel over there.
Yeah, Complexity is in a pretty good spot. If they win this round, it's going to be 9-13. Immortals are probably going to double save, and it is 4v5. So they're not in a bad position at all to win this game.
But Immortals still remaining with 3 players on that B-bomb, setting Complexity, deploying a whole load of utility to make it appear at the very least as if they're going for B, when in reality, they still have a big stack over here in the mid-connector, and they are getting ready to deploy up onto this side. Bolt's trying to spot for it, and then deploy his own HE grenade to try and get a little bit of damage at the very least. While he may not be able to hold out in an open fight, he can at the very least toss that nade in. Doesn't really hit for all that much, though, and now he's blinded, stuck into the corner. There's no security anymore. He's going to go for the battle, but takes it in the wrong position. Desi moving in, only gets 1, though, over-aggressive, but thankfully Def has his aggression in the right place as he pushes into the shed, catches Lucas falling back from the balcony, and that is pretty much all but secured. Unless FNX and Henny can work together to pull off something spectacular, Complexity are posted back up, and this is where things get rough. FNX even falling back inside of that mid-connector now to watch out and make sure nobody pushes him from suicide so that Henny can move in a little bit more to the site and try to investigate. There's nothing being given to these guys on Immortals, however, in terms of intelligence. Complexity just posting back up and remaining very quiet about their positions. Henny even trying to jump around and make it seem as though he's retreating so that he can try to get them pushing him through the door, but nobody betting on that at all. Complexity are going to be able to hold this site securely and win out the round. And the best hope for the Immortals is going to be catching a few players on exit.
This is smart save by Immortals, though. They're going to have an AK and AWP. They'll probably force, you know, get decent guns on the rest of them, probably a couple umps. And they have a good chance, you know, to win this round now because they did save. So often we see teams go in those situations and try to win that round when it's, you know, probably like an under 5% chance that you win it, right? It's way better to do what Immortals is doing right now.
Yeah, we are going to see Complexity again going through with much faster pace towards A this time. Normally they've been messing around with the B hull, but no longer in this one. And Bolts, not only does he get that first kill, but he tags Def, bringing him down very low. And now, Steel can swing out from the tree, does kind of whip the first opportunity, but Henny's in here with the op now. And now, Steel in the repeat is going to be able to get some stuff done. Surreal, though, with some good op shots, is making some effort here. Unfortunately, the push back in from Steel and Lucas closes it out, and Immortals escape with this one. And pretty sure they get both of those ops, one being recovered off of Henny, but they upgraded the second one for free.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't rank S. I don't know about the 4-man mid-rush against a team like Immortals and of that caliber on a round where you have way better guns. You know, you're doing great, working slow, working methodically, taking drop control and working off that, and then all of a sudden you just try to change a pace, but you try to change a pace on a round that you're like favored to win, where you could just kind of play it out much more standardly and have a better chance, right? Instead of gambling like that.
So it ends up costing Complexity quite highly now. While obviously they're back in the game, and they've got themselves a good chance to try and actually win out here. They still are in a bit of a delicate spot, letting Immortals especially get up to 14 rounds here now. And FNX, beautiful hold. I think he even spotted that third player too, and definitely did damage to him. As Slemmy's going to push up, finally gets the kill. Android also finding one from drop, so there's reason to believe they can at the very least still get B side control. They brought this back down to a 3v3. Bolts is going to back up behind the rock, watching for the drop pressure, but actually Complexity giving up on this. They know that it's still going to be too risky to continue to pursue a B hit, especially with there still being a second player in the site. But now the Def has gotten the kill against Bolts. Possibly a change of heart, as while the bomb was retreating over towards the connector moments ago, it swings itself back out towards the platform. And most of the hopes of this round will fall, I believe, onto Henny, who is still positioned in chicken coop, waiting for them to redeploy out and Steel. Watch this remain along. I mean, basically, if Henny doesn't hit these 2 of these kills, the round is over, and they found him now. 7 HP, buys himself a little bit more room to bargain with here, but he is going to be pushed from the other side. Basically sets up a fort for himself here with the Molotov and the smoke combo, hoping for someone to push up close, then he could try to get a quick shot into them, but no one going for it. But in the meantime, this has bought time, and I mean, nobody's even paying attention to the doors, it seems here. Steel moves in, catches one. He knows where a second is located. They did lose Henny a second ago, and thankfully Slemmy does end up coming out on top. Actually ends up killing him with the Glock at long range there, so good shots from him. And Complexity off of that, they pick up a 10th. Now resetting Immortals again.
I think that was even 3v5, wasn't it? Next gets 2 here before he dies.
Yeah.
So, but it does get traded, so I guess 4v5. Or sorry, 4v3, excuse me.
And yeah, that's going to bring Immortals sort of to their knees here now, as they have to force into this next round. And for the most part, again, it's just pistols, CZs, a single Deagle sitting on bolts, and another FAMAS on steel.
And this time, overplaying B a bit. Being drop, they just have steel kind of alone at A. They do the setup quite often.
And they are
bolts coming back to check middle a bit.
They're going to continue to play this aggressively over towards like platform as well. You can see Henny already trying to boost up there a little bit and get himself frag if he could find it. But 1-to-1 to start off, as FNX does catch a kill close up before going down to Android. Android now wants absolutely nothing to do with drop, so he's going to pack away and regroup with his teammates, at least for a few moments until that might have cleared out a tad. But Complexity under a minute now. Going to have to make the choice soon in terms of where they are going to send this, and it does seem just directly out onto B. So the entire site hold is going to be somewhat dependent on if Henny can pick anything up here, since he will be by himself. There's still 2 position on A, and Henny, well, they should have been able to hear him jumping around there as they're going to push in. He gets good damage. It's actually Lucas that catches not only the first one, but the second one. Caught out, however, by Slemmy pushing it on the follow-up, and now Bolts within the site. Looking for the Deagle shots. Tags one of the Slemmy, now with a MAC-10 as well. So a little bit more firepower to work up if they do try to push that sidewalk position on the left. Right side may not work out too well. Steel, he's got the FAMAS. Now we need to see the range coming back in, but no, Def ends up getting the double kill at the end, and it's Complexity that take the round.
Yeah, working out that B-plat gets it down to a 2v2. Immortals kind of line up there. Bolts with the MAC-10 when he's swinging out kind of just goes in front of Steel a little bit and lines up. Bit of overcommitment, I think, and Deb kind of just sprays them both down at once. So Immortal's going to be on a full save, so we should be seeing 12 to 14. We're going to see Desi probably go down drop with his ump.
Yeah, it's Slemmy. Not going to be able to spot Henny just yet, but for the most part, Immortals, we're not expecting them to do much impact in this round anyway, as they've gone from Deagle armor pickups to just the single CZ and P250 sitting on Bolts and FNX respectively, with Steel and Henny having 0 investment at all, and it seems like Complexity are making pretty quick work of this one. Even the attempts to surprise and get aggressive have been essentially fully unsuccessful. FNX the last to go down, and is indeed a clean sweep from Complexity, now within just 2 rounds of tying this map up.
2 rounds, decent amount of money. Immortals full buy in here, no op on Henny though, and that really changes how their setup works a lot, because I mean, I know he's been opping B a decent amount here, but a lot of the time when he opts A, like by himself, he does such a good job of holding it, multi-fragging, staying alive. I think it's one of their better setups, and this entire half, whenever he's had an op, I think he's op B, and they've had Steel, you know, kind of in that role. He hasn't been nearly as successful.
Yeah, we're now going to see Complexity again, just slow playing on this round with Immortals. Still having to kind of stretch their dollar a little bit here.
The dedicated umper. Although I don't think you should do it when you have this much money.
He's back.
But Slemmy was listening to the... he was rewatching the VOD.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? This is a genius.
Not a bad idea. Yeah, Immortals.
For some reason, well, they have 3 head armors, so on Immortals.
Still really just sitting back and not making any adjustments on the Immortal side. Changing positions on that B side a tad, but not wanting to change the actual split of players. Since Complexity are really bringing this down to the wire to try and figure out when exactly they're going to execute towards here. And they do decide to go for like sort of, I imagine it's going to just be like an A split through drop, but it's heavy on the drop portion of it. And now, well, now you just have to hope that Bolts and Steel can do something from this split. The problem is that the drop push itself sort of counters it. However, Bolts still getting stuff done. Ends up with a double kill before going down to Surreal. That is full site control over here on A. One of them getting tagged, I think, through the door, though. Slemmy down to 30, and FNX quickly out through the shed here. He broke it, so they're going to know he's working his way out. He tries to check the quarters because that, and he was almost going to go for that check on Surreal, but is then traded out before he can actually catch it, so it's Surreal that gets that kill. Desi with another one. It's left to Henny now to clutch 1v2. Spots the head, and gets him through the tree as well. Taking down Slemmy. I think he knows Desi somewhere around this APC. He's just going to catch him to the left, and that flick immediately goes on to the headshot. So with that kit in hand, he should have plenty of time to be able to defuse the bomb and put Immortals up to 15.
Yeah, he definitely knew Desi was there. Desi, I believe, either was hurt or got a kill. But Complexity, again, I mean, that's a round they should win. That was 3v3 post-Planet A. Every time they're taking drop control and they're splitting somewhere, like they're winning the round. Even going back to Pistol, when Immortals had 4 players essentially fighting 3 guys in drop. Like every single time they take that drop control and they split, they put themselves in a good situation and position to win.
This time it's Henny that falls through the big clutch there in the 2v1. And now puts Immortals on pedestal to win out. However, still, the better buy is going to be in the hands of Complexity again for this round here. Immortals still trying to work on kind of building things up and surviving with one player. Certainly not going to help that. Bolt's taking a huge risk here and pushing out, but the positioning is perfect. Death's not even looking at him when he moves out into the open there. So Bolt's catching the first one for free. Only loses about 40 HP as well, so can still definitely find himself another fight. Surreal and Desi getting hit, I think, early on here by like either an HE or a Molly, but Surreal catches FNX, trying to push out from that Molotov spot. But then a follow-through back down through Broken with no flashes or anything supporting it. So it's Henny that picks up the next kill over here onto Desi now. Still advantage to Immortals. Slight one at that. Bolt's getting himself back into the battle here. He's got such a small angle to play with. And Steel walking forward, just walks himself into a kill and a second one here as he finds Android. And off of that, we will see a near team ace to close out the map. It is again going to be Immortals that take it and close out tonight's matches 2-0.
Yeah, and I know Complexity made it close there, but it just kind of felt like whenever Immortals really wanted, I know it sounds weird, but it just kind of felt like when they wanted to win, when they really wanted to, like, you know, push on the gas, that they were going to close it out and win, right? And it seems like they do that all the time. They kind of will go out to big leads sometimes and then kind of just play to the level of their competition a bit more, get a little bit too loose, and then, you know, get together at the end and be like, all right, we've had enough fun, let's just win.
Let's close it out.
Yeah, and close it out.